Hey, what's happening, bros? It's your boy Confucius. Welcome to my show. Now, you're gonna have to excuse me for a while because I have to go out and play with my female dogs and gardening tools, but I'll leave a little question before I go. What was your biggest take on history of China this year? Now, I'm out, motherfucker. He didn't just do that on camera, did he? Anyway, his show, his rules. So, what was my biggest take from history of China this year? It has to be the importance of family. And I could see why you could take something else, but at the same time, I really couldn't. And my reason for that is because really, family is what has kept China China throughout its five waves, its 3,500 years. It's the reason that China is five waves, not like five squares, because family connects each wave. You could go to anyone who's not American, and you could ask them, do you think family is important? Everyone would say yes. And it's because they understand that families really nurture you. Families make you grow. Families instill everything that is important to you later on in life. Everything you do is based on how you were treated as a child, what you did, what your parents were like. I mean, this is something your parents tell you probably all the time, that one day you'll end up thanking them for all the things they made you do, all the times you wanted something and they didn't give it to you. And luckily they're not here to hear this, but yeah, I am thankful for all the things that they've done for me, but I wouldn't tell them that. But it's because my parents have been alive for their 40, 50 years. And they know. They know what they did as young adults and how that affected them later on in life. They know how their parents treated them and how that affected them on later on in life. And I don't have that experience, and so, maybe I may hate them one day because I want to be out with my friends, but I'm supposed to be studying for my AP exams, and yeah, but I don't know. They just know more because they've been through it. They have experience, and they know what it takes, because obviously if I go to a Singapore American school, they probably had a good family because they've become proud parents, and they live in, paintings behind me quite obviously were somewhat well off, and they know what it took. They know what they had to do to get there, and it probably wasn't going out and playing with my friends on Saturday nights. And they've made this household strong. And something else, Confucius once said, "The strength of a nation derives from the integrity of a home." This is a spectacular quote, because Confucius is saying that the reason that a nation is strong is because of family. And we may think of strength as, oh, that guy's so buff. But mental toughness, being able to quickly adapt, change, work around situations, get over obstacles, that is strength. And for a nation to have that strength, it must have family. And you can see it like basically everywhere in China. You see it first in the Xia dynasty, Yao Shun and Yu with all their ideals. You see it in the Shang dynasty when you have ancestor rights and they write it into the Shujing, you have Confucius. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And really, that's why I think China is so interesting right now, is because Mao was the first person to encourage generation gap. And we're just coming to the point where the generation that Mao raised is coming to power in China. And I really want to see what happens, because it's just amazing. It's awe-inspiring that this will be the first time that, I mean, it's a possibility. I'm not saying that it will happen. That someone who has not been raised under the system of filial piety, will become the leader. Someone who may not have sound family values, because Mao encouraged them during the revolution, the Cultural Revolution. Mao said, don't do what your parents are telling you to do. Do something else. I would love for like President Obama to just get on the radio waves one day and go, don't do what your parents are telling you. And I'd probably say, no, I understand. Now, thanks to this course, I do understand that my parents, when they say something, they're probably right. Unless it's about like math, then I'm actually wrong more often, but still, going on to a monologue right now. But it's important to see that Confucius keeps the strength of a nation as the family, and you can see it throughout China. You can see why they're linked. I see it during the, what do you call it, when a father passes on the throne to a son. That act is important because the son now looks up to the father as his guidance, his predecessor is, he has to surpass his father. And that's one thing that I think family teaches you. Competition. Siblings have competition. People grow through competition, and my entire goal in life is to be richer than my father, because money is the way that I can judge myself against my father, and I really want to be better than my father, because that's what's important to me. That's what's important to my family. And, they'll be happy for me that if I do become better than my father, because it'll show them that they raised me well. And it'll keep, if I do become, greater than my father, or even if I don't, if I become successful, I will be in contact with my family, and I will teach my kids that family is important, because family is what raised me to be who I am. I will teach my children that. I will, make my children interact with my father, my parents, and they'll get a sense of, cyclical awareness. Everything flows like waves. Everything just comes together. Everything stays together. It's not broken up into chunks. You don't have people leaving each other. You don't have people breaking relationships, because family is more important than anything. Family is what keeps a nation together. I mean, we have lots of some counter examples too. I mean, look at Hitler. He stressed family, but he stressed a very close kind of family, which was the Aryan race. He stressed being together as an Aryan race and taking over because they were the best. But he didn't stress togetherness as a whole. He stressed togetherness as a race. And that's why Germany eventually broke down. That's why they couldn't win World War II, because they weren't united. They were the Aryan race, and then they weren't. They were just Germany, because they didn't have family values. They had Aryan values. I mean, even in America, Theodore Roosevelt and Franklin Delano Roosevelt, why was FDR the greatest by my perceived notions? Why was FDR the greatest president of all? Because he looked up to Theodore, who was his cousin. He looked up to him as a role model, a leader, because he had seen how someone so close to him had become so successful, so powerful, so important, that he mimicked him. And as he mimicked him, he learned. He never broke it off with his family. He always had strong family values. I mean, he may have had one mistress, but he still had pretty solid family values, in that he really cared about how everything flowed together. He really stressed being within one unit, and that unit was America. And that's why America got through the Great Depression. That's why he led them through the Second World War, because they were one unit. That's what a family is, one unit. I never think of myself as an individual when I'm sitting around the dinner table. I think of myself as part of that group called my family. And that's what China taught its children, its grandchildren, its great-grandchildren, that being that one unit is important. Being that one unit is what keeps you whole. You learn, you grow, you understand. Everything is because of family. And really, your family may not always be correct, but they'll always teach you something new. It doesn't matter that, maybe your dad doesn't want to get you that whatever, and then suddenly that whatever becomes so important that you become like bullied at school or something. But he taught you something. He taught you that sometimes he isn't always correct. I mean, he also taught you that material objects are basically the most important thing in the world to school children. And so it's learning. Family is learning. And I mean, going back to Confucius, we know how much Confucius stressed education. And we know how much he stressed family, because they're all together. And family teaches you morality. Family teaches you how to interact. Like, you don't just walk up to someone and talk about their flab, putting it nicely, because you don't do that to your family. And your family teaches you, maybe a bit harshly in my case, that talking about other people's weight isn't the best thing to do. And talking about people's figures, talking about people's differences isn't really that great, because it leaves that sense of broken, I don't know what you call it, like, yeah, it's just not flowing as one unit. It's so important that the family stays together. It's so important that you stay with your family, because you trust your family. If you can't trust anyone, you can't do anything, because you'll think that you'll have to do everything yourself, and you'll just fall into a spiral of work, drugs, and alcohol, which is also a drug. But it's trust. Your family instills in you trust. They make you want to trust them, because you're going to be with them your entire life. I mean, I don't remember who said this, but someone said, You can't choose your family. They're God's gift to you, and you are God's gift to them. And it's a beautiful quote, because you have to trust your family, because you can't choose them. They're with you no matter what. They're bound to you by blood. I mean, we see people like hip hop artists singing about family all the time, but their idea of family is that brotherhood that they have with their fellow hip hop artists. It's the idea of togetherness. People who are alike are together. I mean, they're connected by something. In a blood related family case, that's blood. In a hip hop family, that's hip hop. But it's that connection. They're like you, so you trust them. And you learn from them. You learn from their mistakes, and you learn from their successes. They make you who you are. They shape you. I mean, do you guys know who Ernest Hemingway is? He was a journalist who had 4 wives and shot himself. But one of his quotes is, "The best way to find out if you can trust someone is to trust them." And your family teaches you that. You trust your family. You trust your family, so you know how to trust someone. You know who to trust. People who teach you morals, like your family, unless your family is a deranged, your father is a drugaholic and stuff, but it's people with morality, people like the parents you have that teach you trust, that teach you who you are, that teach you how to learn, that teach you how to grow, that watch over you as you grow. I mean, I don't want to ramble, which I've probably been doing for the last 16 minutes, but it's just so important that the togetherness of family teaches you what you need to know to succeed in life, what you need to know to be a proper person. And the best thing about family is it's recursive. If you had a good family, if you had a good upbringing, if you had a good learning experience, you're going to teach that to your kids. You're going to want to pass that on, because it's value judgment. They taught me good things. I want to spread them. I mean, thankfully my parents aren't here right now, but yeah, I really trust my family no matter what they do. But yeah, it's actually making me kind of emotional, because I'm talking about my family for the first time to someone else. But anyway, it's just, that's what China, going back to the most important point here, that's what the history of China has taught me, that family is how you learn. Family is how you grow, and family is how you learn morals and how to trust. Family keeps you alive, and family keeps you who you are. Thank you.